Alright guys, that last video got a little long. I apologize for that, but I'm trying to do my best to get you guys to understand the key aspect to understanding these types of problems. I think up in the upper left-hand corner here is the key to everything. Understanding what numbers and what labels we are doing. What is the question actually asking us? And this is a part-to-part ratio. And I'm going to set this up specifically, guys, as a proportion. So two fractions with an equal sign in between it and having an unknown. And I will let you know, well, I'll show you first of all if it's part to part or part to whole. I'm hoping that this will be quicker for us, and this might be the one that you are going to get the most information out of. But it says the ratio of horses to elephants. Notice that the lines are underlined, or the terms are underlined. So that means we have horses and elephants. Okay, so if I'm going to put it in this setup, again, the label is everything, okay? So it says that the ratio of horses to elephants in a circus is 9 horses to 5 elephants, all right? What if, so if there are 63, and again, notice that they're talking horses, not the combination of the two. This is a part-to-part proportion or part-to-part ratio that we are looking for here. So if there are 63 horses, so I got to make sure that I keep it in the horses line, 63. How many then elephants are we looking for? So I'm going to put a question mark there, but in all honesty, guys, most cases it's going to be a variable like an X. So this is one that's a part-to-part. The numbers are all there, very straightforward in the problem. Again, I can simply look at the relationship going this way and realize that how did I get from 9 to 63? I multiplied by 7. Multiplied by 7. So my answer should be that X will equal 35 elephants, all right? Or, if I again want to do the cross-multiplying method, this would become 9X equals 63 times 5. Okay, so combine those two things, I end up with 315. Now I want to get X on a side by itself, so I got to divide both sides by 9. If I divide 315 by 9, it goes in there 3 times, 27, subtract 45, 9 goes into 45, and we still end up with X equals 35, just to prove that point. Now that again, I'm not doubting that you guys can solve the problem as a proportion or as a factor puzzle when you get the numbers, and that's why we've tried to underline the important parts and important words here. So as we look at this is now a part to total. This is the first one. These are the ones where I notice people really starting to struggle. Okay, so they've got horses to total on the top here, okay, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think that actually kind of throws us for a loop. I would still tell us that I would think that we could make this go. It says horses to elephants in a circus. So I'm going to start with horses to elephants, just to set it up the exact same way we just had, are 1 to 7. Okay, so it says if there are 32 horses and elephants together, all together in the circus, how many elephants are there? So our ratio is 1 to 7, okay, for horses to elephants. But our ratio of horses to total would be 1 to 8, okay, 1 to 8, because we are looking for how many are there total. So we have 1 horse to a total of 8 animals. So it says if there are 32 horses and elephants all together, in the circus all together, how many elephants are there going to be? All right, so as we now look at this, we need to know how did we get from 8 to 32. Okay, we are looking at the total to the total. We can't look at horses to 32, 1 to 32. We can't look at elephants to 32. We've got to, in this case, look at how did we get from here to here. All right, how did we get from 8 to 32? And in this case, we multiply that by 4. So I would have to do the same thing here and multiply this by 4. So my answer in this problem, guys, is not 4. That gets me to this ratio to be the same. But now I've got to determine how is that going to get me to how many elephants I have. All right, so I know that there are 4 horses. My horses number equals 4. But now I've got to figure out, again, what is the question asking? Then how many elephants are there? Okay. So now how many elephants are there? So if we are 4 horses and we need a total of 32 animals combined, I would need to subtract 4 from 32 and realize that it should be 28. Now another way to look at this, guys, and this is the way I would do it personally. I wouldn't do the horses aspect. Okay, I wouldn't look at the 1 to 7. That's again why I'm not a big fan of the way they've written this out in the factor puzzle. To me, that's more confusing. So if I look at it this way, if it's 1 to 7 horses to elephants, that means it's also 7 to 1 elephants to horses, or elephants to total would be 7 to 8. All right? So 7 out of all 8 animals were elephants. We have a total of 32 elephants, or excuse me, 32 total animals, horses and, just like there was 8 in the original ratio. So now if I look at this, I'm looking for how many of those will be elephants. I don't have to do any subtracting. I don't have to do any manipulating. I need to identify which numbers I am using. So how do I get from 8 to 32? I multiply by 4. How do I get from 7 then to x? I multiply by 4, and x will equal 28 elephants. Okay, so if I'm using horses in total in this factor puzzle like they're showing me here, then I've got to include the subtraction piece. But what if I changed horses to elephants? Just going to abbreviate that for time's sake. All right, then this becomes a 7 to 8. This then becomes times 4, and then I can get rid of this 4 and make that a 28, because 7 times 4 gets me to 28. Okay, so just another way to think about this, another idea with how this might work. All right, another parts to total. So as we look at the ratio of dogs to cats in a park is 3 to 2, or 3 to 12, excuse me. So I'm going to go dogs to cats, 3 to 12. Okay, if there are 15 dogs in the park, so again, dogs is where I'm looking here, then how many cats are there altogether? Okay, how many dogs and cats are there altogether? So again, I can use my original ratio, guys, to determine this process. So how do I get from 3 to 15? It's times 5. So what is 12 times 5? Gets me to 60, but that's not my answer. That's not what it's asking. They're again looking for the combination all together. So if we do that, then now I have to combine these two numbers to figure out that my answer should have been 75 cats and dogs. So again, I don't know that we're struggling as much with the math, guys, as we are the terminology and what the question is actually asking us. Now I'm going to put just a couple of problems on an exit ticket, but again, guys, I really want to stress to you that you need to ask. I had about 7 or 8 people ask me specifically about those types of questions, and I'm welcoming them. I want to have them, and I understand that they are a little tricky, okay? But sometimes it just helps to get that face-to-face and screen sharing opportunity. All right? Have a good day, guys. I expect to hear a lot from you. Please show up for the Zooms today.